In this video, I'll be discussing closed captioning, specifically focusing on representations of non-speech information, or NSI. In Reading Sounds, Sean Zdenek explains that closed captioners must account for every significant sound. Zdenek reminds us that closed captioning does not and cannot encompass every instance of audio. Instead, captioners must carefully prioritize and select the most important sounds. The most significant audio information might at first seem to be speech, but every word that is spoken carries with it an entirely unique context that can change its meaning drastically. In Among Cultures, a book on intercultural communication, Bradford J. Hall and his colleagues teach, meaningful communication is inescapably linked with the context in which we perceive it to be taking place. The category of non-speech includes information, when relevant, about who is speaking and the manner in which they are speaking. Let's consider an example from the 2013 film About Time. Near the beginning of the movie, the protagonist Tim and his best friend Jay enjoy a night out at a pub where guests dine in darkness. The waiter leads Tim and Jay to their unseen and yet to be introduced dates, Mary and Joanna. I've selected this scene because the visual information at this point of the film is stripped away. In this particular communicative context, audio is everything. By studying the scene's captions closely, I've made a few observations that could potentially enhance NSI captioning, especially when there is no visible correlation to sound. First, altering the visual position of captions on the screen can represent changes in speaker without having to use speaker identifiers every time an isolated piece of dialogue takes place. For example, throughout most of the scene, Tim's dialogue is positioned on the left side of the screen, while Mary's is positioned on the right. This is effective in conveying the actor's dialogue in most instances, but captions should be intentionally placed from both side to side and top to bottom on the screen. Otherwise, the order in which dialogue takes place could be confused, as in this example of an answer seemingly preceding a question. Next, NSI captions that describe the manner of speaking can be extremely helpful in establishing context. When Mary comments to Tim about his friend Jay's enthusiasm, Tim's response, "I actually hate him," could be perceived as a comment of ill will rather than the intended sarcasm characteristic of British humor. By adding sarcastically in parentheses after the speaker identifier, the context of the scene would be reaffirmed and clarified. Overall, thoughtful captioning of non-speech information can greatly enhance situations where audio and visual information are not obviously connected.